Florida Department of Plant and Soil Science.
The land has provided both small and large farmers a profitable living. Recently, a growing number of farmers, because of limited resources, have not been successful in making a profit from the land. The limited resource farmer comprises a major proportion of the total landowners in the United States. For example, in North Alabama, 72% of the farms are classified as limited resource farms. Erosion on these farms is very high due to heavy rains, the overworking of the land, a lack of knowledge of soil conservation practices.
By contour farming alone, from straight up and down the hill to farming on the contour will cut soil erosion loss 50%.
Or insufficient resources at their disposal to invest in conservation of the soil. The result is poor agricultural production, low income, and an increasingly thinner layer of productive topsoil on the farm. These small farmers, many of whom are minority farmers, have not adopted soil conservation technology and are difficult to reach by conventional public outreach programs. Also, a different type of adoption technology with greater reliance on a cropping systems-based approach needed to be designed and demonstrated. The agricultural research programs at Alabama A&M University, which is designed to conduct both basic and applied scientific research, has as a part of its mission to improve the productivity of agricultural and natural resource systems in the state of Alabama and the nation while maintaining a quality environment, and to improve the socio-economic status of urban and rural residents in the state of Alabama. In 1985, scientists and cooperative extension personnel, aided by a grant from the U.S. Department of Agriculture Soil Conservation Service, initiated a demonstration of farming systems research methods for conserving soil and increasing income on small or limited resource farms. Alabama A&M personnel, after careful consideration, surveyed potential candidates for the project. The criteria for selection were that the farms must have a real erosion problem, it must be located in or near a cluster of small farms to allow other area farmers to come and view the demonstration, and the farmer must be willing to cooperate in adopting the conservation techniques. Researchers knew there was an advantage to selecting farms that were located near roads, churches, or community centers. In the selection process, and in all other phases of the program, district, area, and state conservationists and other specialists worked with Alabama A&M scientists and extension personnel. The interdisciplinary research team from Alabama A&M surveyed limited resource farmers from 12 North Alabama counties. After extensive interviews and field visits, their attention was focused on 4 farms to be used for the demonstrations. Farmers were selected from Madison, Cullman, and Marion counties. Soil conservation technologies, which emphasize the use of high-income producing crops and the adoption of inexpensive interventions to stop erosion, were planned and organized. These interventions were discussed with the selected farmers, and cropping systems were developed to suit their specific land and label capabilities. Introduced technologies included the use of agronomic and vegetable crops planted in strips, planted across the slopes, terracing, installation of grass waterways and water outlets, planting on the contour, and growing alternative crops. The results and success of the interventions and demonstrations were recognized during field days organized for area farmers and workshop for Extension and SES personnel, researchers, students, and the community. Now, let us meet our limited resource farmers. From Madison County, Mr. Woodrow Manley of Hazel Green. On his farm, new terraces were built, old terraces repaired, and grass waterways established and planted to fescue sod. Soybean and sorghum were planted into crop, and horticultural and small fruit crops such as sweet potatoes and raspberries and blackberries.
We're probably doing a third better, at the least, a third better than we were doing before we, got into the program. We put the terraces up and they've practically stopped all erosion, and the improvement's been real good, I think. They've done a good job in what they've been doing. They're good people to work with, and they try to help you every way they can. They had some strip crops and the garden deal, blackberries and raspberries and different plots, they put out, which really done good, and we're proud of them. They've done a good job, and they'll learn you a lot if you'll go along with them. It's a good program.
In Coleman County, Mr. Clyde Johnson participated in the Farming System Research SCS project. He became interested in the project after reading the Alabama A&M Farming System Research SCS program announcement in a local newspaper at the Senior Citizens Center in the Hansville community.
You run an ad in the Coleman paper about this help they could give the farmers if they was interested in it. And I wrote a call to Huntsville, and she come down and gave me an interview and showed me what,
The Farming System Research SCS interventions Mr. Johnson adopted included no-till cultivation and the planting of winter cover crops, stubble mulching, and alternate strips of sweet potatoes, cowpeas, and okra planted on the contour. More than $1,000 of produce was sold from only 1/2 acre of land.
I had a tremendous production. I had done all along, but I've never hadn't had. It's a great program, and a man will come out with more cash money as he grows that crop and gets it. I was really wanting to see what they could do to improve the growing stuff at a profit. What come to see about it, they thought this tremendous thing.
Mrs. Lois White of Holly Pond, Alabama, contacted the School of Agriculture and Home Economics after reading the Farming System Research SCS announcement in the Holly Pond Daily newspaper.
I was reading the paper one day.
She grows vegetables, pastures, and field corn on a 40-acre farm that had moderate to serious erosion problems, as well as acidity problems. Lime had not been applied to the land for more than 10 years. Following a discussion of the goals and the objectives of the Farming System Research SCS project, a plan was developed to plant vegetables in alternate strips along the contour.
We was washing away quite a bit of it and had at least 2 big ditches going down across it. Very hard to work.
It was a pretty bad erosion problem when first started working with A&M. It was so eroded till I didn't think that with 2 years that it'd improve as much as it had.
They came out and walked over the place and recommended some things that we could work together and do. I think anybody ought to take advantage of anything they can to keep the soil from washing away.
Work began with Mr. James Stewart of Hamilton, Alabama, in September of 1985. He owns 110 acres of land and some livestock. Problems encountered on this farm included severe erosion due to excessive cultivation and monocropping, and dense infestation of row crops with sickle pods and cockle burrows.
Well, they wanted to kill them sickle pods.
Okay. How did all those sickle pods get in there?
Huh?
How did all those sickle pods get in there?
They was in here when I got it.
Okay.
It was right when I got it.
The interdisciplinary farming system research team conferred with Mr. Stewart, SCS officials, and others before deciding on a grassland farming system.
I couldn't cultivate that field like I wanted to try to keep them things down. Right there, let it rain. You can dist it today and day after tomorrow they right back. This ought to have been done a year or two before it did, before that got washed as bad as it did. It'd have been that much better.
Right.
Well, that field right there and that no yonder were doing the same thing. That's the reason I set it out in them pine trees. It was washing away.
Okay.
Well, I set them pine trees out. That's the reason I set it out in them pine trees. You got to have some sure enough #1 terraces up there to hold on the hillside to keep them from washing away. And the terraces what is up there wasn't sufficient to hold them.
What do you think about the work that they did over here for you?
Well, I think it is great. That's what I don't think in it. I know it was.
Okay.
It was just great. And you take the people right here, they really talk about that too.
Is that right?
Yeah, they do. You couldn't beat it. I don't care where you go, you couldn't beat it.
The Farming System Research SCS demonstration project exemplifies the successful benefits that result when the efforts of university officials, extension agents, Soil Conservation Service personnel, and other related agencies are combined to combat the problems of the farming community. This project has greatly increased the acceptance of soil conservation technologies among the limited resource farming communities of North Alabama. Farmers who at first were skeptical about the ability of these interventions to control erosion effectively and to improve the productivity of their farms are now advocating such interventions to others.